Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Tom Slivick with Superintendent Dick Glock.
You bet.
Good to see you again.
Good.
All right, now, we were talking about budgets, talking about money, talking about budgets, talking about money, and how all of that stuff affects everything. And nowadays, with the with the economy being as tight and as hard as it is, we're in basic aid. That hurts the schools as well as it's hurting the cities. Is that correct? In the sense
it's a different way of funding for the schools. It doesn't necessarily hurt us so much, but it's something called an ERAF fund, and it hadn't affected Amador County because the basic revenue limit was always higher than the amount of taxes collected, and now that's not true. That has swung, so it's a educational augmentation fund is what it is. It's called ERAF, and we receive that money, and it takes away from all the other government agencies. And we had worked, actually Mike Daly really led the charge, and the rest of us wrote letters to our senators saying that we need to have our assembly people saying that we need to have that amount of money backfilled. And for a while it was in the budget, and then at the last minute it was pulled out. And so it's just a different way of funding for the schools, and it does take away from city agencies and the county. So it's very disappointing, I guess you'd say, but we'll still work on that with the government agencies to see that they're made whole, just like we are. I mean, we've been made whole by the process, but the cities haven't, and it's the state.
But I think what we're saying, or maybe not what you're saying, but I'm trying to get across too, is the school's not the bad guy in this situation that caused anything, or this or that. It's the way that the government coming out of Sacramento treats the problem, or in a way choosing at this time now not to treat this problem unless we put more pressure on them somehow.
Right.
To
what's the funding mechanism is what it is, and it's nothing that the cities couldn't do anything, the county couldn't do anything. I mean, we can't do any. It's the process, and we tried to amend the process by
Allison Huber's bill.
Yeah, exactly.
1119,
and she was,
I believe.
Right, exactly. And we thought that was going to go through, and it passed committee very well, but it didn't.
So we're where we're at, and we have to address that problem. But let's move on here. Amador's got a problem with declining. I don't know if it's a problem, but we've got declining enrollment, and in fact, it's I have it written down here. It's about 7,000 kids, about as close as you can get. 699 students are lost for 6 years now. Students are lost. 699.
Right? Yeah, it was actually about 685, but most of it is just the difference between kindergartners coming in and seniors graduating. It's almost entirely that, as a matter of fact.
So what we're seeing here, Dick, is like the younger kids coming into the schools.
Yeah, we've been in kindergarten since I've been here. We have been as high as 326 kindergartners, and this year we have 272. Wow. So, and that's about the exact amount of enrollment that we're down.
Is this something to do with maybe the baby boomers? Offspring having kids, and now there's another generation behind it with a different demographic for kids?
Well, I think there's no doubt that that the community is maturing in terms of the population, and I mean, we have more seniors than we've had, and due to the economy, we haven't had growth. I mean, there's actually, we have about $1 million, or had. This summer we spent, I think, around $300,000 in developer fees. And I think most people would be surprised that you have any developer fees being collected. But actually, the wildflower area out at Ione is going to probably be redone, and we've collected about $1 million in the last couple of years in developer fees. So there is some growth.
When these projects get mapped, they've been putting paying into the system, to the school system, as well as the water agencies,
right,
and
exactly.
things like that. Right?
Exactly.
For their perceived or their coming impacts.
Right.
They're getting charged for that ahead of time.
That's correct.
Okay. And so we've got that coming in. It sounds like if that's the case, then soon we'll have fewer adults or young kids and seniors in high school
yes,
graduating.
There's no doubt. That's exactly what's going on. Like I said, we had about 70 more seniors last year than kindergartners come in, and that's been the trend now. Actually, we lost about 600, well, I don't know if lost is the right word, because the people are there.
Well, let's put it like
the
this.
Numbers
as far
are
as
down.
like your budget numbers, and you're looking at that, and people are coming in, and that's your population that you're dealing with. When those start to decline, I guess you look at those like we're losing revenue, we're losing students, we're whatever.
Right.
And
under the former funding formula, that's exactly right. You lose about $5,000 per student. Well, now we're funded differently, so the number of students isn't so critical in terms of the funding level. But nonetheless, we've lost, since 2003, we're down about 15% of population. So that's one school.
I do believe we've done a story, and it seemed to me, you refresh my memory here, but this is statewide as well, more or less, in other districts. In other words, it's a demographic of statewide demographic as well. We're just reflecting what's going on in the state. There are some communities that do have growth, and I've lived in those, but that's the exception. Most communities are maturing out, and they're closing schools. They aren't opening new ones. Okay, so school system, the board must have to look at this and see, we have to address this. How?
Right, and for us, we are, some time ago there was a question about, well, you're going to have one high school, or you're going to close schools, or whatever, and I can unequivocally say there is no plan at this time to close any schools or have one high school or one junior high. As I understand it, and 4 years ago, Barb Murray and myself and Elizabeth and the special ed director at the time went around and talked to every parent group about budget cuts we're going to have to make. And every parent group we talked to, and there were 50 to 75 parents at some of the schools, we went to every school. Every parent group said, well, Mr. Glock, when are we going to have one high school? And I said, a little facetiously, well, I really don't want to be hung in downtown Jackson or in downtown Sutter Creek, so I think probably you should lead the charge for one high school. And, I think that conversation's been around since the consolidation back in 1983.
Certainly was a rumor when I first moved in. Okay,
right.
But at that same time, I think we had numbers that were increasing at the schools.
Right. That's right.
So you could easily say, well, you got more enrollment. We don't know what we're going to look like. Why would we go that way? But you do have a plan now, or not a plan, but you must be having you're looking at the facilities and measuring them up, and what is the purpose of that?
Okay, it's what's called a facilities utilization plan, and what that does, they'll check every building as to its age and its eligibility for what's called modernization funds.
Okay.
And those funds are available on a 60-40 match. The state provides 60, we provide 40. So we'd be limited in the amount of dollars you could spend on refurbishing sites. But since I've been here, and I'm not proud of this, in 5 years we really haven't done much to help the facilities. We've spent the money in the classroom, and that's been by design. We very deliberately spent money on classrooms and students.
When you say spent money in the classroom, what does that mean? To me, it kind of means like for teachers?
Yes.
Okay.
And supplies, books, everything that goes directly into the classroom. And so now studying all the facilities, and that's where somebody got the idea, oh my gosh, we must be going to close something. But no, we're going to look at it and see more than anything to see where we might get a 60-40 match on all of our sites.
To be able to fix some of the
exactly.
some of the plant up.
Exactly.
Okay, now we have a few minutes left. How big are the classrooms? What's a teacher ratio now here in Amador County?
Well, the elementaries will range from about 26 to 29, and the junior and high schools, junior and senior highs, have a limit of 180 contacts per teacher. So, I mean, that's quite a few, obviously. And
I'm not sure. Why don't you just explain, since you brought it up, what's a contact?
Well, it's a student.
Okay, but I mean, so meaning, okay.
So they see 180. They could see up to 180 students a day.
Okay.
So that's pretty typical, but still, it's a lot. And when I first came, we were able to keep it down to, let's say, 140 or 50.
Okay, we only have a short amount of time, so I was going to ask you a quick question. Could someone come back from the board anytime? You ever think somebody might come and say, listen, why don't we start a discussion about closing one of the schools, or combining a high school? Can that be done anytime?
Yeah, they certainly could do that. We're not near at that stage at this time. Another question would be, how do you involve the community? And on a decision like that, you certainly would go out to the community.
Okay, and with that, they're going to have to come out to the community before they do that, so you'll certainly get some input if that ever happens.
That's
Dick
right.
says it's going to happen soon. Okay, thank you very much, Dick, and for being here on TSPN's News today.
Sure.
And thanks for staying with us here. You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.